Imagine Anchorage, Alaska in 2035. The population has increased to almost 500,000, and the average price of a house is close to that same number. You've brought your family to Anchorage due to the robust economy and good quality of life, but after landing that job, you still can't afford to live in the city. So you, like 20,000 other people, have bought a house in the Mat-Su Valley and make the commute to Anchorage each day on the Glen Highway. But it's a long drive, it's dangerous in the winter, and when an accident closes down the highway, it's impossible to get home to your family, stranding you in Anchorage for hours or even overnight. But what if there was another route home, one that cut time off your commute, or just provided an alternative when heavy traffic bogged down the Glen or closed it off due to an accident? Even better, what if you could have bought a house that was just minutes from downtown Anchorage, but at much more affordable Mat-Su Valley prices? This alternative is real, and it's called the Knik Arm Bridge. And thankfully, the people of Alaska in 2013 had the foresight to build this piece of critical infrastructure that will provide for our growing population through jobs, access to developable land, and an improved transportation system that will benefit us statewide. The vision of building a bridge from the Anchorage to the Matanuska-Susitna Borough has been around since the 1930s, and we as Alaskans now need that vision to become a reality. The Knik Arm Bridge will connect Alaska's largest city, Anchorage, with the Mat-Su Borough. It will be part of the Alaska Highway System corridor and serve 70% of Alaska's population. I myself moved to Alaska over a decade ago and eventually settled into Anchorage with my wife. We share the aspiration of owning a plot of land to call our own and the freedom to build a home to raise our family. The Knik Arm Bridge supports this vision. What I'm going to show you next is a rendition of the bridge in a video and what it would look like after it's built. This bridge will support the projected population growth in South Central Alaska by connecting the existing cities with developable land for the additional people that will call Alaska home in the years to come. According to the Alaska Department of Labor and Workforce Development, the most recent forecast predicts that the population of Alaska will increase 28% by 2035. The fastest area of growth is expected to be in the Mat-Su Borough, and socioeconomic forecasts predict that this area will continue to see significant growth for the next 30 years. However, those economists also believe that the primary employment center will remain in Anchorage, while the Mat-Su will be the home for that growing population. So how can we best serve these two diverging growth trends, with jobs expanding in one area, yet the residential development expanding in another? If you were standing in downtown Anchorage and looking directly across the Knik Arm, you would see the Port McKenzie district. It currently has 14 square miles of land available for commercial, industrial, and office space development. It's located just 6 miles away from Anchorage if you were using the Knik Arm Bridge. And thousands of acres are available just north of the Port District for residential and commercial development. Anchorage is simply running out of available space for development. Its land area is shaped roughly like a triangle, but it's bordered on the east by the Chugach mountain range, in the southwest by Knik Arm, and the northwest by Knik Arm. There's physically just nowhere else to go, and that has economic consequences. In the July 2012 issue of the Alaska Journal of Commerce, it reports that the average house in Anchorage is selling for $315,000. Yet the average selling price in the Mat-Su? Only $220,000. That's almost a $100,000 difference between these two areas. Think of what you could build with that extra $100,000 if you had access to the other side of Knik Arm. But the bridge does more than just create access to land for development. It would also open the availability to Western Cook Inlet, where undeveloped rich land in natural resources such as coal, oil, gas, and geothermal sources are located that currently lack access and infrastructure for development. This translates directly to jobs and energy security for our state. So now that we've looked at the real estate that becomes available to us, what else can the Knik Arm Bridge provide for? Well, the bridge also establishes a second connection between Anchorage and the Mat-Su as an alternative to the Glen Highway. It's a second route not just for commuting, but in emergency and evacuation situations. Right now, 44% of the Mat-Su workforce commutes to Anchorage, and this figure is growing by about 1,000 cars annually. The Glen Highway traffic is often congested due to winter weather and crashes. But more important is the fact that the single roadway connection will be inadequate if either area needed to evacuate, in the case of a large earthquake, tsunami, or other natural disaster. If food, medical supplies, or fuel needed to be transported north, and the Glen wasn't passable for whatever reason, wouldn't it be in the best interest of the state of Alaska to have a second roadway? And in speaking of transportation, we need to recognize that Anchorage is the state transportation center. According to the Port of Anchorage website, 90% of seaborne container cargo coming into the state is landed at the Port of Anchorage. The port serves over 85% of Alaska with everything you eat, wear, or drive. The Knik Arm Bridge would create a linking up of the existing transportation networks in place, providing an additional and efficient transportation route for this freight movement to the interior and north slope of Alaska. The freight landed at the Port of Anchorage can be expedited much more quickly to northern destinations by crossing the bridge. In fact, according to KBATA, the Knik Arm Bridge and Toll Authority, it will reduce the road travel time from Anchorage to the interior by approximately 70 miles round trip. This is a win for the environment by reducing carbon emissions by about 90,000 metric tons in the first year alone, and in turn is over 300 million in freight truck savings in the first 10 years by reducing time, fuel consumption, and the wear on the vehicles. So, in reflection, we've looked at a number of ways in which building the Knik Arm Bridge provides for Alaska. The bridge will do far more than just physically connect these two communities. It will, in all reality, benefit the entire state. In fact, the advantages it provides just can't be overstated, as linking these regions together will open up thousands of acres of raw land to new industry, homes, schools, and opportunities that will help all of Alaska. It provides an alternate north-south roadway for commuting, emergency response, and disaster evacuation route. And the bridge creates an efficient link between the operations and infrastructure of the Port of Anchorage to the rest of the state. We as Alaskans used to embrace big projects, with the potential to become iconic symbols of the state, much like the Trans-Alaska Oil Pipeline, the Alaska Highway, and the Red Dog Mine. I believe that the Knik Arm Bridge can and will become this as well with our support. So after hearing these reasons, I hope I have persuaded you that the Knik Arm Bridge is far from bringing the bridge to nowhere so derided in the press. In truth, the Knik Arm Bridge is in all likelihood the bridge to our future, and I am confident that building this bridge will lead to greater prosperity to all Alaskans. Thank you.